So this is basically how I shoot my YouTube videos for my YouTube channel all by myself. So in this video, we'll go over how I plan my videos, the gear that I use, my creative process, how I put everything together, some lighting techniques that I use to make sure that my videos are well lit, how I set up my shots, different camera angles, sound, like the music, where I get the music from, and a little bit of sound design. I've been doing this for a year now, and I think I have a few insights that might actually help you out if you're trying to elevate your videos or you're just starting out on YouTube. In the past, I've made the mistake of I would come up with a topic, then I would focus on making a video about that topic, and then when I was done, I would kind of have to struggle to find another topic for the next video. But I actually just started writing like lists of ideas that would come to me randomly. I could be in the shower, I could be on a flight on a plane, I could be driving in my car. If the topic comes to mind, I'll write it down, and I think it's a good form of practice. I think the ideas are strongest when they're fresh in your mind. When it comes to having an idea, I approach it kind of like the military, right? You do recon, there's a planning phase. If I have a topic that I want to tackle, I will do a little research about the topic. And there's a training phase of like information that you need to kind of work through that you can use to implement in your video. I actually do Google the topic. I do search it on YouTube to see how other people are approaching the topic. I'll get a few ideas, and I'll also figure out, okay, this person tackled this topic this way, but they missed a little point here. So this is an opportunity for me to add something on to the topic. For you, maybe you would write out a whole script. For me, I don't write out a full script. I just put down bullet points and then I go off of those bullet points. But once I have all that stuff collected and good to go, I'll move on to the next phase, which is gathering everything I need to shoot the video. So for A-roll, I actually use artificial lighting, make sure that my face is well lit. I use a Godox softbox with a grid on it, and that's what I'm using right now to light myself. And if I turn it off here, you see the difference. And there you go. Then I use that little light over there, Ulanzi pocket light. I use that as a hair light, and it just gives a nice little backlit effect that kind of like makes me pop a little bit from this side. Let me see if I turn it off, how it's gonna look. So as you can see, there's pretty much a significant difference without that little light back over there. So you see that there's not too much like separation from this side, and you could probably work your video just using the one light, but just to kind of give it a little extra pop, I use two lights. Let's see here. Turn it back on, and there it is. That's pretty much how I light my videos for my A-roll. And then of course I'm using a tripod and camera of choice. Anything you can use to record that has decent low light performance will do fine. I'm not really big on like being brand loyal or being like, this is the brand that I need to use. I think if you're a good artist, it doesn't really matter what you're using. You can create art. If you have an iPhone, you're fine. As long as your lighting is good and your microphone is good, you're good to go. And of course, the microphone I'm using is a Comica, a wireless microphone. They come in a set of two plus a receiver. So very good microphones. And I used to use a wired microphone before I got these, but wireless microphones are just the best way to go because it frees you up to set up your shots to where you could actually walk away from the camera without, you can move around. Yeah, it kind of frees you up. So I like to use these wireless microphones by Comica, very good. I like to clip it inwards to just keep it a little bit more clean and neat. I feel like it can get a little distracting if you have the light facing this way, the little light here. I don't know, it just looks like it's a little heavy to the front, so it looks a little bit neater and clean if I pop it this way. So that's basically what I use. Another thing you're gonna need is an ND filter. The ND filter I'm using right now is a K&F Concept Nano X series filter. The thing is, there's just too much light coming in when you're using natural light outside. So basically you need an ND filter, which is pretty much sunglasses for your lens. And for example here, I have an ND filter on this camera right now. And if I take it off, See, everything kind of looks blown out. So, and if you're interested in knowing what camera I use a Sony a7 IV. But like I said, you could use this setup with any camera, and I think you should get good results. Of course, if you're trying to do anything that's a little bit more advanced, like color grading and stuff like that, of course, you might need to get a camera that shoots in a type of vlog format. But honestly, there are plenty of people here on YouTube who get very good views and have high subscriber bases. Look at Long Beach Griffey. Long Beach Griffey uses an iPhone. This guy's got millions of subscribers, and like honestly, you don't really need all that extra stuff. You just have to be creative. I start off first with shooting A-rolls. Basically, A-roll is what I'm doing right now. Just simple talking head shot. I always shoot A-roll first. I found out that it's easier to make my videos if I shoot the A-roll first, because in the A-roll, I'm kind of pretty much going over the entire topic of the video and going through all my bullet points. Once I listen through the A-roll, after I edit it down and I'm happy with how I sound, I'll put together a shot list, and I would write down timestamps of like where I'm talking about something and showing that thing. It's very important if you're trying to make an engaging video to show and not tell. So if I'm talking about going to a certain location, rather than me telling people that I'm going to a certain location, I'll show them a clip of that location. If I'm talking about like a microphone that I'm trying to review, I'd rather just, while I'm talking about it in my A-roll, I'll show them. So that's where the B-roll comes in. That's where I get all my ideas for the B-roll. So planning things out like that and structuring things out like that just make it easy for me, because once I have my shot list, I already know like, okay, this is what I need to go out there and shoot for my B-roll. Think of it like a fast food chain, right? The reason why they're able to pump out so many burgers is because they came up with a structure that just makes the system fluid. It's not really a custom burger per customer, which would not make it fast food anymore, because you'd have to spend a lot of time making a burger specifically to one person. So implementing those type of techniques have helped out speed up my video making process. The editing process is where I put everything together. After I shot the B-roll, I lay it on top of my A-roll and then insert the B-roll where it makes sense. Remember, show not tell. Also, when I'm editing, that's where I kind of figure out the pacing of the video. So this is something that I think if you're here on YouTube, you want to kind of get good at, is learning how to pace your video. Pacing is just basically the speed at which the plot unfolds in a story. Learning how to do that well is going to help you make videos that are a little bit more engaging. And if you master the art of pacing your videos, then it's easy for you to make videos that people are going to want to watch from the beginning to the end. I see a lot of people who come into the YouTube space who just think they can pop on a camera and then talk for like 30 minutes straight. It's unfortunately not going to be as engaging just to watch you talk for 30 minutes straight. I don't know. Unless maybe you're like a very, very good speaker and you can hold people's attention for a very long time, you might have to think about ways to spice up your videos. If you're in a classroom with a good teacher or somebody who's a good professor or whatever in college, sometimes they'll pop on like illustrations on the board, stuff that kind of keeps you engaging, visual cues, things that pull your attention, you know, versus somebody just lecturing you for an hour straight. It's gonna get boring. So pacing is very important. The editing process is where I implement a lot of my pacing and stuff like that. And the software that I use is DaVinci Resolve, but I think you can use any software if you're just starting out. I use DaVinci Resolve. I recommend it. It's a free software. It's got a free tier and a paid tier. So if you're starting out and you're trying to advance from using like basic editing software, I think DaVinci Resolve is a great software to get into. And DaVinci Resolve is not sponsoring me. This is just me saying that DaVinci Resolve has helped me improve my editing skills and especially my color grading skills. Another option of lighting is basically just using natural light. Especially when I go out shooting outdoors, natural light is gonna be your best friend. Carrying a bunch of lights when you're shooting, running and gunning, the way I shoot is just not preferable for me. I think the more gear you have to take outside, the less you feel like going outside and shooting. So when I'm shooting outside and I'm shooting B-roll or anything like that, I use natural light and I try to shoot, depending on what I'm trying to shoot. If you're trying to get a more cinematic look, you definitely won't go wrong shooting golden hour or as the sun sets. If you're a photographer, you kind of are familiar with terms like golden hour, blue hour and stuff like that. So you're gonna get more of a cinematic image if you shoot at that time of the day. And something that I usually do to just get a little bit of more of a cinematic look is I shoot from the shadow side, or not only just shooting from the shadow side, but I think for me the easiest hack where it's a no-brainer, I don't have to think about it, is shadows, right? A lot of people who shoot more vloggy YouTube style videos, and there's nothing wrong with those videos, but everything is just more focused about things being well lit. Everything needs to be lit. There are no shadows, there's no contrast. But I think when you look at a lot of movies, they play around with contrasts. They play around with light, then dark, then light, and then dark on the shadow side, and then light. So there's like a lot of play with contrast. So basically it's a no-brainer way of the way I approach shooting my videos, just to give them a little bit of that cinematic touch. And when it comes to lighting, I think if you're trying to get more of a cinematic look where your images start looking closer to like what you see in movies, you definitely want to watch more movies. Remember, consume the content that you want to be, right? So if you want to be a filmmaker, watch more movies. If you want to make YouTube style content, yeah, watch more YouTube videos. It just comes down to whatever look you're going for. To make my videos more interesting, I try to integrate different types of shots, like POV shot, or sometimes I'll have the camera in my hands and do it more like first person view, and I'll try to orient the camera in the way that my head is facing. I'll have it focus on my feet, then pan up, and it's just another unique shot that I utilize to make my videos more interesting. It's always good to have an establishing shot. So let's say, you know, I'm in a location, so it's good to have the establishing shot to show the whole location. Then I like to put a shot of me walking through the location, and I'll try to set my camera in different positions to kind of capture just different angles of me walking within that space or within that area or locations. So when it comes to shots, having an establishing shot definitely helps set up the scene, and then different various shots to make it more interesting. I think you definitely want to think outside the box when you're shooting. It's always good to do this as well. Like I try to do some close-up shots, some mid shots, and some wide shots, just to vary the shots in my footage. And that way when I go to edit the footage, I have a lot to play with. Lastly, when I'm putting my videos together, I spend a good amount of time listening to music and sounds that will add to my storytelling. Recently, the website that I've enjoyed and I'm actually subscribed to, and this is not an ad for them, I'm just saying this because I enjoy using their music, is atlas.io. That's where I get the majority of my music, but it doesn't really have to be Atlas. You can go to Epidemic Sound or other subscription-based companies that produce non-copyrighted music, and you can use their music. So I use music in all my videos to enhance my storytelling, and if you watch enough movies, you'll understand that music can definitely enhance your storytelling. In a video that I made where I went to Catskills Falls with my cousin, when we're walking in the woods, there was not a lot of sound going on. It was quiet because we got there early, and I actually used some sound effects from Atlas. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's early in the morning. I woke up at 2:30.
I woke up at like what? 5 in the morning, 4:30?
Yeah, he woke up like mad early. To give it life, you know, to breathe life into the footage. Instead of us just walking in the forest and it's dead silent, you know, adding a little bit of like ambiance, birds chirping, things like that will help kind of enhance the storytelling. Hopefully you found this video of how I make my YouTube videos interesting and you learned a few things, and I would challenge you to definitely go out there and apply it. Use some of these techniques and see what you can make. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Once again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed and who's going along for this journey. I plan on making more videos on my process as far as, you know, how I make these videos, and I'll probably do it how I edit my videos, and I'll go in depth how I use DaVinci Resolve to edit my videos. If you're interested in seeing how I edit, how I color grade, my export settings for YouTube, yeah, definitely stick around, and there's more of that coming along the way. Thank you, and you guys go out there and make some dope stuff.